I'm George Wrighster. He's Ralph Amsden, and this is the College Football Apostles. And your boy's been on the road for the last few days. Been doing some interviews that we are going to bring to you here on the Unafraid Show. So this show is going to be a little bit different because I have been totally out of the loop, and our man Ralph Amsden is going to catch us up today and with all the news and that and so much more. You're going to love the show today. Keep it locked. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and get notifications. Let's get to the show because we love college football like you do too, and be one of us here. Okay, so a lot happened in the world of college football over the last few days. I have not been caught up on everything. So what's been going on is we are on the speakers tour, the engagement with the universities, already recorded interviews with University of Oregon, University of Washington, headed to Arizona State in a couple of days. We got Sark coming from Texas. We got a bunch more. I'm not even gonna tell you beyond that, but y'all gonna be like, God dang, what these men out here doing it big? Because we're bringing great content for you guys. Be one of us. Hashtag one of us here on the Unafraid Show. So been going around, and honestly, I got to be honest. When y'all see the footage from Washington, everybody knows I'm an Oregon guy. I was upset that I actually liked them and them people up there so much. They're actually pretty damn dope. Not as dope as my people up in Oregon, but the Washington people had some dopeness there their self. But here's the thing that I enjoyed the most, Ralph, is that I went up there, got a chance to see the upgrades that they're making to the facility, the upgrades that they're doing to the program, what Jedd Fisch is bringing, and I was like, okay, I 100% agree now, Ralph. Washington is now a worthy rival.
Oh, okay. That's quite a draw from. So you had a good trip then.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually got a couple of questions for you about your trip because you've been busy. We've been working together, but we haven't had much time to just like decompress. Which is why what's amazing is that you haven't really kept up with what's going on this week in college football. And there's not too many crazy stories, but there's a couple I think you'll be very interested in.
Okay.
But I did have a couple questions for you. When you go to Eugene, what does it feel like home? Like what's the feeling you get you go back quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what is it like when you go back to Eugene? Are you just looking out for things that changed? Are you
I'm
got your
always
spots that you hit every time?
I'm always looking out for things that have changed because I mean it's not even the same city. Like stuff similar, but there's so many more like buildings that are taller because they have the Olympic trials there. They have they've had the world championships and stuff like that. So more hotels, it's a bigger feel, feels like the city's growing. And the when I was there, I was like, yo, if too many more people come here, they're gonna have to expand the road system around this joint. The way you don't have like traffic because it's built for between Eugene and Springfield. When I was there, it was over 100,000 people, but now it's probably damn near doubled in size. Has to be. So so that's one thing. So I'm always looking out for brand new stuff. And but also when I get off the plane, I'm like, bruh, it feels like home because I spent so many years there. The love there that I received, the connections, and there are still people there from when I was there, Ralph. The
That's
video
crazy.
guy, Steve Pohl, still there. The trainer, Chief, still there. The equipment guy, Kenny. Kenny was a student there when I was a student there, the head equipment manager. So getting a chance to see those people, and then I've been able to build a relationship with the staff over the last few years. So it's been good, and really for me, building relationships surrounding college football in general with a lot of the head coaches. And here is, I think, honestly, Ralph, the biggest, like the thing that really humbles me the most is that when I finish some of these interviews, they're trying to hook me up with their other friends. in the coaching business, like, yo, you need to go talk to him.
Yeah.
And then direct phone number, texting them and everything. Because I have, when I got into this business, I understand that there's a lot of people who are in the hot take machine. And there's a lot of people who, oh, I got to be the first with this piece of information. I'm going to break all the news. We've broken news here before, but I value relationships over the breaking of news. So there's a lot of things that I'm privy
Yeah.
to that don't make the show because it's either not a proper time for it, or it's going to put somebody or something in a bad light that would then mess up the access to get you guys these interviews and things like that. So that doesn't mean that we're not going to talk about people honestly and, and fairly, but it also means that we're also going to protect people in the situation when it comes to judging, okay, do we break this news now, or do we talk about it in a way that is, that's honest, but it's not like we're telling you exactly, we're hinting at it. So that's the thing that I hope, Ralph, that people learn to trust, that they do trust, and already, and the new people will learn to trust more about coming here to the College Football Apostles, is number one, we know what the hell we talking about. And so sometimes you got to read between the tea leaves and everything else, but just know it is coming directly from not necessarily in the building all the time, but from people connected to it, and we are going to give you honest information here.
Yeah, and I mean, here's a big difference. You love college football. I love college football. I have a journalism background. You played and you have a media background. At the end of the day, when it comes to the stuff that we do in college football, I want that to come through. That we love college football. I feel like that's a thing that comes through with a Josh Pate or a Brandon Walker, or like you look at the UFC and you say, "Oh, Ariel Helwani, he's in love with the sport." He's
Yes.
not just in love with the process. And there's a lot of great college football writers who are whose love is probably split between the subject they cover and the act of covering it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's journalism nerds covering college football. I want people to look at us as college football nerds, just happy to be able to participate. My other question for you is, I don't know if you noticed this. Um, Seattle people and Portland people, they swear they
Okay.
are two different species of human.
They're not.
But
They're not.
to every to everybody else, I don't really. It's hard to tell the difference. I'm just being honest. Comes off like regional like racism. But like a Seattle person and a Portland person, like the only way I know how to tell the difference is like you're probably more likely if you're from Seattle to like know how to operate a boat.
Oh, for sure, because you're
And if you're
literally
from
on the
Portland, you're
water.
like more likely to have two cats instead of one. But I don't really like. I genuinely,
Okay,
I know a
so
lot of people from Portland. I know a lot of people from Seattle, and I'm like, it's like to me, somebody who's from Minnesota or somebody who's from North Dakota. You look
okay,
like
okay,
this. They're
okay.
the
It's
same.
it's similar, except for the difference is that people in Seattle, they got a little, like, they're like, no, 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 no. We're big city,
We're
they got a
civilized.
big city chip on their shoulder because they lost the Supersonics, and they're like, hold up, we're just as good as all these other big cities around here, and we're better than you, Oklahoma City. So so there's a little bit of that in Seattle, where they don't want to be Portland, like the underdog that, like, the Portland Trailblazers are. Like, but Portland Trailblazers aren't the type of underdog that the Sacramento Kings are. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. That there's dynamics like that all over the country. Like I couldn't tell the difference between somebody from Mississippi State and Mississippi maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
I, and
no,
I
no.
I go through it like I'm a Tempe guy.
So, okay,
We
okay,
we
okay, okay.
we
See,
thumb
there's a
our nose
difference
down at
between.
Tucson, but really the only difference between Tempe and Tucson is you're like 20 times more likely in Tucson to see a dog at the gas station that's given birth 3 times in the last 8 months.
see, see, see. Here's it's like people who root for the White Sox versus people who root for the Cubs. They're different people.
One is a loser and one's a lovable loser.
Wow. All right. So what did I miss this week in the world of college football, Ralph?
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to, I've been waiting for this, just like so much anticipation. I need you on the podcast. I need you to Google Annika Sorenstam. And I know this is college football
The
apostles.
wait, the golfer, the older
The golf,
golfer?
the
Okay.
goat female golfer. Please Google her
Yeah.
name. Read me what comes up on page 1 of Google. We need your reaction on this.
Okay. It would have oh, Google helped me. Wait, hold on,
Spell
hold on.
Annika.
Time out. Time out. Time the hell out. As soon as I got her name like almost right, the first so it said her name, Annika Sorenstam, and then the next thing under it, which I clicked on Annika Sorenstam, okay? The
Okay.
next thing under it as like a you know how Google will like show you what you typed and then it'll show you the next things that are most uh
Suggested search. Yeah.
it said Larry Scott next.
That's right, man. She's pregnant. I'm just kidding.
Wait,
It's worse.
what?
It's worse.
No, no. Annika Sorenstam is pregnant by the former commissioner of the Pac-12, Larry Michael Scott.
No, it's worse
And
than that.
and I call Larry Michael Scott because he ran the Pac-12 like it was Dunder Mifflin paper. So, okay,
She's
so Phil,
100%. She's
so you want me to
100%
click
not
on it?
pregnant. She's not pregnant. I was kidding.
Oh,
She's not. It's worse. It's worse. Find the
Annika,
story.
oh my God. Annika Sorenstam backs former Pac-12 commissioner Larry Scott to lead the LPGA. Okay, okay. So, on one hand, it's a terrible idea, right? Because of what he did for the Pac-12.
Sure.
On the second hand, it's not that crazy because of what he did for he was in women's tennis first, right?
He was in women's tennis. Yes.
So,
He was the head of the
now,
WTA.
huh?
He was the head of the WTA before he came
Yeah.
over to the Pac-12.
So, I don't know how much you know uh Serena Williams and Martina Navratilova and Billie Jean King had to force him kicking and screaming to like get equal pay and all of that. But he did preside over that era where their money got up and everything else. However, you did have the greatest women's tennis player of all time and a top 10 player of all time in her sister in the same era. Okay. So it would have been hard to screw that up. However, I
Right.
do
How are
not
you going to
believe.
call? That'd be like, but see, but that'd be like calling Jerry Reinsdorf a good owner.
And he's talking about Jerry Reinsdorf, who owned the Bulls, who him and Jerry Krause broke up the Bulls because they thought that they could do it again.
But
Okay,
he won. He won.
but
He
they
won.
they did draft Tony Kukoc. They did force um, uh, Phil Jackson on Michael Jordan. They weren't completely just.
No, no, no. You're 100% right. But Michael Jordan was there for all 6 of those. They don't have one since. They didn't have one before.
I
P.S.
would
Bob
err
Kraft.
on the side of not hiring Larry Scott. Just that. Let's just. But I understand how it makes sense. And you screwed me up when you said she was pregnant by him, bro. That just all
Okay,
right.
so here, but honest question. Why, when somebody becomes the CEO of something, or when somebody becomes the president of something, and they fail miserably,
Yeah.
right? How come the only job they can get after that is to be the president of something else? Why don't they get knocked down several pegs? I don't
Oh,
understand that.
like when you're a college football coach and
Well,
you
college
don't.
football coaches, they'll go be a coordinator. Like they'll
Yeah.
step back. Larry Scott, this is more like Billy
Dude, he's
McFarland.
still on severance pay right now. He's not worried about it. He's like,
Right.
"Oh, yeah, another big time job." Dude, this is the thing is that when you get those types of jobs, it's like when you get to be a head coach. People don't like you're going to get another shot probably to be a head coach unless you were an utter disaster because
Yeah, no,
that's the way people view you.
all you have to do to be relevant in some people's eyes is to fail an attempt at something, right? Because people are going to respect that you got there in the first place, right? You've seen Hillary Clinton's speaking fees. She
Yeah.
was never president, right? Like Larry Scott, the idea that Larry Scott is in line for these jobs drives me nuts, though. Just based on the fact that, like, look at Billy McFarland, right? Billy
See,
McFarland tried to do Firefest, ended up going to jail, got out of jail, and his big comeback idea was to do Firefest again. At some, at some point, you got to learn the lesson.
Uh, here's the
That's like,
here
how many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man?
Larry Scott. Here's the problem. Larry Scott was equipped for the late 90s and early 2000s, okay? He was equipped for that. Because the first Pac-12 deal wasn't awful. It was just that it was a little too long and there was no like aggressiveness to get it on. Like he wasn't completely inept. It was just that there were some like he's not equipped for the future. He doesn't understand what's going on with streaming, where the pulse of the people is. He's a private jetting, put the offices in the most expensive place in San Francisco. Like he's a what are the perks of this job kind of guy.
Yeah, well, a bad pilot is still a pilot. Like he knew some of the stuff he was doing, but it was we can't forget it was a nightmare. We were
Yes.
the Pac-12 apostles. We're the college football apostles now because of him.
Yes.
What's going to happen when the LPGA has to negotiate a TV deal?
He's gonna sign a 30-year deal for like $50 million a year, and then in year 10 it's gonna be like all the other all the other comparable leagues are getting 100 million a year, and you're like, hey, but it was landmark when we did
Yeah.
it.
Annika Sorenstam should know better. She's an
No,
Arizona
she shouldn't.
Wildcat.
Why should
She's an
she know
Arizona
better?
Wildcat. She's an Arizona Wildcat. Her conference don't exist anymore.
Listen, there's a lot of very smart people that kept Larry Scott in his job for a very long time. And
Yep.
and just because Annika Sorenstam was a great golfer, it does not mean that she was following the world of college football. And he can explain away because I'm not saying he's not a smart guy. He can explain away why he made the choices that he did when it came to the Pac-12, and a lot of these were forces that were enacted on him. That's the way you spill it. Oh man, see, see, you look at the
All right.
state of
Well,
college football today. You see what the ACC is going through. This was the Big Ten and the SEC bullying everybody out. Nobody could have done anything better. Yes, you could have got Texas and Oklahoma, then the SEC would be dying right now.
all right. Well, this is my ask of the LPGA. Go back, listen to the first season of Pac-12 Apostles, and then uh and then use Google in a specific time frame for the end of Larry Scott's tenure, and remember everything that we talked about and predicted going wrong.
Bro, literally. People were like, George, why are you so doomsday? You don't know what's happening. And then you had other people who report on the Pac-12 and all of this stuff, and they were like, oh, no. They're nearing a deal. They're figuring it out. The conference says that this is happening. We're like, no. And one of us was right. And I'm not talking about me and you. I'm talking about either the Pac-12 apostles was right or other people were right.
All right, I got the next thing for you.
Okay.
So you will be thrilled to learn that Connor Stallions
Okay.
released his manifesto.
No, he didn't.
Well, you're right. He didn't. Not the one everybody
Oh, I
associates
was
with
like,
him.
what?
He got a new one, and it's the 5,000 words he posted on X today about how 7-on-7 is bad for kids.
Do you know what?
This man, this man went full Unabomber and posted like 10,000 characters coming out against 7-on-7. And I was curious as to what your thoughts were about that. Connor Stallions out here in the public, establishing himself as the moral conscience of youth football.
Okay. So, first and foremost, now I want to read it.
Well, if you got a half hour, 45 minutes.
All right, make sure you tag me in this because I am going to read it. Because here is the thing that I will say. You've watched the movie Catch Me If You Can, right?
Of course, yeah.
And what happened at the very end of the movie? And what is that man doing at least until recently? I don't know what he's doing the last 5 years, but up at least until before COVID, what was he doing?
Making sure that you catch the other Frank Abagnales before they turn into Frank Abagnale.
Yep. So if you understand, like, and this happens all the time, hackers get caught, criminals get caught, and then they end up working for the government to catch the criminals because they're so damn good at it that they know where the problems are. I believe that Connor Stallions is a freaking genius, bro. Believe that he's a genius, a forward thinker, and I would hire him on my college football team if I felt like I could trust him. You see what I'm saying? Because if
Yeah,
Connor Stallions is in with you, he's the I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get it. But we gotta reel you in, Connor. We gotta reel you in because I do think that he probably has some. I would be interested to hear his thoughts on recruiting, his data on it, because I do believe that he has put significant time, uh, uh, interest. I believe that his research skills, I believe, are his research skills and his relentlessness about them are probably some of the highest around. So, but is he a cheat too? Yes. So I, I I definitely do believe that he probably in the midst of this has something spectacularly good to say, even if it's not, if you said it's 10,000 characters, if like there could be 4,000 characters of gold, and then you might have to throw 6,000 characters out. It's like anybody else who is, like Elon Musk. He does some good things, and some of it you got to throw out in the trash. Kanye has done some really good things, and has some great ideas, but he also has some trash ass ideas too. And you just and you got to be able to sort through it. And I say a quote: "Don't throw out a message because you don't like the messenger, because even a broken clock is right twice a day."
that's true. That's true. I guess the next thing I have for you is general managers in college football. We're getting to the point where most teams have one. Some don't call it a general manager, but most teams are positioning themselves to have somebody in charge of football. Nebraska is hiring the New England Patriots director of pro personnel, Patrick Stewart. And the big one is University of Oklahoma is hiring Jim Nagy, head of
Yes,
the Reese's Bowl,
love it,
to
love it.
take over at Oklahoma. Now that's a big name. That's a popular name because he's good at marketing himself. He's a fantastic interview, and he did a really, really good job. making the Senior Bowl uh not like a side event of the whole draft process. It's like a feature now.
Yeah.
And so I guess my ask of you is, you see all these names, some of them are very familiar.
Yeah.
SMU has J.R. Sandlin, who's been around in a million different roles. Um, University of North Carolina has Michael Lombardi, and they're paying him 1.5 million annually to do that job. Now you have Jim Nagy moving on. You're getting NFL player personnel, people coming into college, uh, and then I think you kind of have even like Ron Rivera in a role kind of like that with Cal. You're getting big names involved in being a college football general manager. A couple of things. If
Okay.
you're hiring a general manager for your program, what kind of person are you looking to? A numbers guy, a fundraiser, a talent scout, somebody who's personable, like used car salesman in the non
Mm.
derogatory way? What are your most important characteristics of somebody you'd be trying to hire into this role?
It depends on my head coach. Okay. Because on one hand, if I got to pay my general manager $1.5 million, like, I mean, that's taking away some of the duties that the head coach was doing. Okay, if we're really being honest. So this is a new era and a new day. So let's say that I have a head coach like Kirby Smart, right?
Right.
I want my general manager to. So Georgia has already whatever Kirby has in place already in terms of their processes for scouting, their processes for recruiting, and understanding like talent evaluation. They're clearly doing a great job of that at Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so their general manager is probably going to be the guy that is going to be a bean counter on some level. Like his job is to manage the salary cap. His job is to understand how much they can pay players and understand the business of the football, and to that way then be able to present this information to the head coach for the head coach to then make the choices. So, because I do think that that a guy like Kirby, he's focused on coaching the coaches, and that like you don't need help X's and O's, you don't need help scouting. So I think for Georgia that the ask is a little bit different, right? If you
Okay, so
are
that makes sense. It makes sense that it would be conditional.
yeah,
Um, so you take a school like Stanford, right? Stanford has Andrew Luck.
yeah,
That's a
uh,
unique dude. That's a
he's
celebrity.
got to figure
That's a
out
guy
how to
who's
make
done it
Stanford
before.
cool. Like
Yes.
he's got to figure out how to market Stanford, not as a I mean, everybody understands what Stanford is as an academic institution. But this era of players doesn't relate to the David Shaw era. Like it doesn't feel as like it was so short between Jim Harbaugh and David Shaw that it didn't stick with people, and so like you need to make Stanford what Notre Dame is in football. Prestige, and I know that Stanford stands above Notre Dame on the academic prestige level. However, though, too, Stanford has to buy in. Like Stanford has to want to win in football. And that doesn't mean that you have to relax all of your academic standards, but you do have to be a little more kind when it comes to getting good players in, because there are plenty of good players who can do your work and everything else. And then the second thing that Stanford has to do is they got to let people in grad school, because you're not
Yeah.
going to because you can't keep your fifth year seniors
Yeah.
after they graduate because of the stance of the school. And then the players have to stay on campus, or at least had to, and then they're having to move, like they're put in the same lottery for housing that the rest of the students are. So Like,
Right. So, what do you think that somebody like him is the right move? Because having a scout at Stanford doesn't make sense.
no, no,
Because you could scout people all day if they're not qualified to come to your school, it doesn't matter.
yeah. So for Andrew Luck, he's got to be the liaison between football and the university. He's the guy that's probably built up enough cachet to be able to go to the administration and be like, here are the things that we need. If you want to win at football, we need these things. And he may be the guy to be able to get it. So I think that, and then he's got to then figure out the marketing plan for Stanford football
Right.
to make kids, yo, I want to go to Stanford. I want to go to Stanford. Like you got to make it cool. There, it's not even cool to their fans. Their stadium is empty every damn time. So like his
Right.
job is going to be community outreach. Like, like you got to make Stanford what USC is in terms of USC has so many fans. Now, granted, we have talked about the passion and all of that stuff, but they have a ton of fans. There are more people running around Southern California with USC tattoos that had never been to USC. And that's what you got to make Stanford into, to where like people want to like that this is the school of the
Yeah,
community,
but
even though nobody can get in there.
a big part of the appeal of Stanford is that it's not for everybody, right? Like that exclusivity is the same thing that keeps the nightclubs lights on. That not everybody could get in here.
USC is exclusive except to rich kids and and
But
and
they
and
welcome,
academically prowessed people.
yeah, but you look at the neighborhood USC's in versus the neighborhood that Stanford's in, and there are people around
Palo
USC.
Alto got
USC's
some
part of the
some rough
neighborhood.
parts, man.
All right. Well, we went off topic, but I will say this: the NFL or the NCAA GM thing is fascinating to me because you can have so many different people with so many different skill sets in this role, and like you said, sometimes it's just the right person for the right coach that matters. But you have a guy like Jim Nagy go to Oklahoma, and the difference that they're hoping he makes is instead of inviting seniors to come to the Reese's Bowl, he's inviting transfer portal players to come to Oklahoma,
Oh,
the
see,
highest level transfer portal that he's able to identify.
see,
Vanderbilt
I
has
don't even
Barton
think
Simmons.
that that's what you want from Jim Nagy at Oklahoma.
Then don't hire him.
No, no,
That's what
no,
I don't
no.
understand.
Oh no, no, no.
You
I
think
love
for
the
his
Jim.
media
I
contacts,
no, no. I could not,
he's
Ralph.
got a
I
lot of
could
media
not.
contacts.
Huh?
He's got a lot of media contacts.
Yes, 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 yes. But that's not what I want. If I'm Brent Venables, what I want from Jim Nagy, which I think that this is a fantastic hire. Yes, I do believe that there's transfer portal implications to it. But the overarching thing is that what is Jim Nagy good at? Think about that. What is he actually good at? I think he's good at, well, sorry, great at. I think he's great at two things. Number one, talent evaluation.
Yeah.
So, high school, college transfer portal evaluations, he should be the best in the country or one of the best in the country at it. Okay.
But it's hard to jump into high school without having done it at all. And
I
that's the difference between him and Barton Simmons at Vanderbilt. Barton Simmons came from what, like 247 or whatever?
yeah,
He was like one of their main guys and he went to Vanderbilt. I think it's harder for somebody who's looking at guys to say, are you NFL ready? To then say, are you college ready? Than it is for somebody who understand and is projecting NFL talent from the high school level. So I think there it will be a little bit of an adjustment if he's trying to focus on high school kids. It's a much
yeah,
deeper pool to swim in.
yeah. So I think that you want him for his recruiting. I'm sorry, for his, yeah, for his recruiting evaluations, all of that stuff. And then the second thing is what you mentioned, what he did for the Senior Bowl in terms of the marketing of the Senior Bowl, making the Senior Bowl cool, making it feel exclusive, making it feel head and shoulders above the other All-Star games. I believe that if he can translate that energy into the Oklahoma brand by doing those two things, it's a home run hire.
Yeah, I love the diversity of all of it. You got a guy like Reggie Calhoun Jr. at Colorado. That's a money man.
Yep.
That's a connections man. Like that's somebody who represents himself and who he's bringing with him very well to corporations and partners. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's just it's going to take all kinds. It's just I as people make these hires, there's people who are very strong on the administrative side that have these roles. There are people who have media connects. There's people who are scouts. There's people who are money people, and then there's some people who are just hiring alumni to go out and do kind of who was the USC AD that was it Lynn Swan? Shake
Oh
hands, kiss
yes, yes,
babies.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes. When he was
So
over
then
there.
there's
Yep.
people who are in that role as well. I'm just fascinated by the whole thing. Thing up today. Last thing up today. Did you hear what Kirby Smart said about Johnny Manziel?
Ooh, no. I heard something about that something happened. I just don't know what.
Okay.
So I heard Johnny Manziel caught a stray.
Yes.
Okay.
So, um, Kirby Smart was I don't know who he was speaking to, but he was uh he was at a coaching clinic and he was saying, four college quarterbacks popped up on a screen: Bryce Young, Joe Burrow, Johnny Manziel, and Cam Newton. And he asked the crowd what each quarterback had in common. Somebody yells out Heisman, and Kirby Smart says, "Good answer." And then someone else says, "Champion." And Kirby Smart said, "Champions? He ain't no champion. Champion of what? Champion of Fireball?"
Champion of Fireball, bro. That's dastardly. That is, he is out of pocket. Kirby, you need to stop, bro. You are out of pocket for that. That's too far. He okay, so he was well within his right to be like champion of what? That's where he should have stopped.
Champion of
Period.
Fireball.
Period. He was like champion of Fireball. Damn.
I would say a couple of things about that. Number one, Stephen A. Smith comes to mind. You didn't have to say it. You're not wrong, but you
Yeah,
didn't have to go there
yeah. You're not
because he
wrong,
probably
but
was the champion of Fireball.
yes, yes, he was the champion of of coke lines in the bathroom. Maybe I don't know, but actually, no. You know what? I apologize. I didn't need to say that. I just did what Kirby Smart did. I'm sorry, Johnny. I shouldn't have did that. That was too low hanging fruit. I'm better than that. I'm better than that,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
didn't deserve that. You out here on your press tour, you're cleaning up, you're doing all the things hopefully right. So I want you to win, Johnny. So mm-mm.
Well,
Strike
so
that
I
from the
think
record.
Johnny Manziel has a pretty good sense of humor. And what would you do if you were him and you heard that?
Mm. When Johnny Manziel was at school, what Kirby was the DC at Alabama, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I'd be like, well,
I
I
mean,
was
would you pose on Instagram with a bottle?
no. Hell no, because I'm in recovery, so we don't play these games. Um,
Is he in
I
recovery now? Is Johnny Manziel in recovery now?
I believe so.
He spent that whole documentary drinking beers, saying he didn't need to be.
Really?
Yeah, you don't remember the Johnny Manziel documentary? He's just
I thought he
knocking back
said that
a drink at the end.
maybe I made that up in my own mind, but I thought that he was, you know, clean now or
You
something.
just projected that onto him. I don't think I think he's just living life in Scottsdale. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I know he went to rehab like 10 years ago.
Yes, what I'm saying.
Well, no,
I
you
thought
are
he
correct.
talked
You are correct. You are
about that and
correct.
how he was living with his parents and trying to, that it's just one day at a time. That sounds like
Oh,
sober living, to me. I could be tripping
Okay,
though.
I found an article from this is from 2016. Johnny Manziel says he's going completely sober. Well, that didn't happen. No, I don't. I think he's just living his life, man.
Mm, well,
Kirby, yeah, Kirby maybe needs to.
yeah, yeah. Ah, man, I just don't like. I'm just not a fan of taking shots at people when they have, have had substance abuse issues. Just because,
For sure. I mean, especially because of some of the stuff that's happened in his program recently. Like
yeah,
you definitely want to take the plank out of your eye before you go
yeah,
trying to get the speck out of somebody else's.
yeah, yeah. But I may post a Steve Smith meme though. See, it's different.
Right on, man. Well, that's it. That's
All right.
news. That's news since you've been gone. Not much
Since you've
going
been
on.
gone.
More people arguing about scheduling. That's a big one.
Yep,
Texas patting themselves on the back for having tough non-con schedules, even though they got San Jose State and stuff like that. Um,
I
and yeah,
reward, yeah, reward tough scheduling. And we'll talk more about all of this stuff next week. You guys keep it locked. I'm George Wrighster. He's Ralph Amsden, college football apostles. Interviews coming up soon. Peace out. Catch you later.